to our second seminar of the year with the title Beyond Words, the Transformative Impact of Culture and Adult English Education. That is going to be for the whole week from today, August 4th to Friday, August 8th. So we want to congratulate you for separating some time to be with us and so that we could learn together to the whole week. I want to share some guidelines about the use of the Zoom, and we want to request that you keep your mics off during the seminar unless the speaker requests from us to unmute and to and to answer some questions. Please, we want to avoid background noises because, as you know, this seminar is recorded. So we don't want to have any interruption during the presentation of our speaker of the day. I want to share this quote that says, most of the successful people I have known are the ones who do more listening than talking. And it's coming from Bernard Baruch, and he is a financial and presidential advisor. We want to say that the English Department Coordinating Committee, which is confirmed by our colleagues, Marisol Ortega, Belsis Bishop, Sudi Palacio, Joel Alvarez, Randy Morales, and Veronica Ford, with the support of the Extension and Continuing Education Coordination, Professor Florencio Diaz, Director, and Edikel Santimateo, Administrative Coordinator of the College of Humanities from Universidad de Panama, has the honor to make a formal opening of our second seminar 2025 in the online modality, Beyond Words, the Transformative Impact of Culture and Adult English Education. And for this, we are going to begin with introductory words by Professor Marisol Ortega, coordinator of the Long-Term Education Committee of the English Department of the College of Humanities from Universidad de Panama. Marisol, are you there? She was having some issues with her internet. So
good morning. Hello.
Oh, okay. Okay. Good morning.
Good morning. Wow. Things happen just at the last minute. Well, good morning, everyone. It's our pleasure to have you here today. Good morning, Professor Olmedo Garcia, Dean of the College of Humanities. Professor Adrian Jimenez, Head of the English School, of the English Department. Professor Florencio Diaz, Director of the Extension and Continuing Education Coordination. Mrs. Edikel Santimateo, Administrative Coordinator of the Extension and Continuing Education Coordination. To our lecture speaker of this week, Professor Rafael Cárdenas. It is my very great honor to welcome everyone to this seminar, Beyond Words, the Transformative Impact of Culture on Adult English Education. It is wonderful to see that there are so many colleagues interested in improving their teaching skills and knowledge. We would like to express our gratitude to Mrs. Edikel Santimateo, the Administrative Coordinator of the Continuing Education Coordination, and also to our organizing committee, Professor Veronica Forte, Randy Morales, Bessie Bishop, Professor Suri Palacios, Joel Alvarez, and myself. Without the committee, this event wouldn't have been possible. And of course, to all of you who are participating, and our speaker who throughout this seminar will be sharing his wisdom and expertise with us. We have participants from different regions of the country and from different branches. Thank you for being here. We would like to start with some few minutes of prayer, and for this we will call Pastor Mauricio Brown. Pastor, the floor is yours.
Good morning to everyone. May God bless you richly. This is Pastor Mauricio Brown, and it's good that the Lord is honored, that he is being honored in everything, and especially in this way, with a prayer. Just before I pray, I just want to read one verse from Proverbs 10:17. It says, "He is the way of life that keepeth instruction, but he that refuseth reproof erreth." In other words, makes mistakes. Let's have a word of prayer. Father, we thank you for this morning that you have given us. Thank thee, Lord, for each and everyone that is participating in this seminary. We ask thee, Lord, that you might just help them to understand, to attain their goals, and may it be done in harmony, may it be done in peace. May there be understanding in everything, and may you give them wisdom in absolutely everything. May they attain each and every one of their goals, and may you just touch each and every heart. We thank and we praise you in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Mauricio, for those wonderful prayers, for that wonderful prayer. And that God, we hope and pray that God will comply with us. We continue our program with some words from Dr. Olmedo Garcia, who is the Dean of the College of Humanities. Welcome, Dr. Olmedo Garcia.
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
A todos y a todas. Nuestra Facultad de Humanidades y en especial el Departamento de Inglés, como siempre ha sido, cumpliendo las políticas académicas y las políticas de acreditación. Uno de los pilares de la educación es la educación continua, la formación continua. Darle un valor al desarrollo de la formación. Y nuestro Departamento de Inglés ofrece al principio del año académico un seminario muy amplio, transversal. A mediados de año, estos seminarios que le dan continuación y le permiten al docente tener una herramienta para cumplir sus exigencias y requisitos de que tiene que tener una formación actualizada. Creo que tengo que felicitar a la señora directora del departamento, a su director de la escuela, el profesor Adrián y la profesora Gloria Ho, a la presidenta de la Comisión de Educación Continua del departamento, a la profesora Marisol y su equipo, que nos dan la oportunidad de construir distintas perspectivas de la enseñanza, de la metodología, de la epistemología, de los saberes. Y qué importante, porque siempre estamos en discusión con el conocimiento. Y más ahora en este mundo, en donde aparece una herramienta que ha desafiado la ciencia y el conocimiento, como es la inteligencia artificial. Creo que en esta oportunidad, el Departamento de Inglés, que nos ofrece, en conjunto con la Dirección de Educación Continua, el seminario del papel de la cultura en la enseñanza del inglés en los adultos jóvenes y en los adultos mayores. Esto es un principio. La educación es para la vida, para toda la vida. Y este es el principio que ustedes han planteado, que es el papel de la cultura. Y en esa cultura no solamente existen elementos simbólicos que representan o reflejan un contexto determinado, sino que también la cultura refleja inquietudes, sueños, esperanza, perspectivas de vida, cotidianidad, y hay que descodificar ese mundo. Y por eso es importante este seminario hoy que compartimos sobre el papel de la cultura. Veo que dentro del objetivo del papel de la cultura contextualizada van a estudiar mucho más la influencia de esa cultura norteamericana en la expansión del idioma inglés, creo que, o de la lengua. Creo que es importante, pero la lengua tiene varias dimensiones, no solamente el reflejo de esta cultura, sino que también el reflejo de saberes, saberes ancestrales, saberes que han convivido con nosotros muchos años y los saberes que podemos construir a partir de la cotidianidad y de la realidad. Por eso el seminario que hoy nos ofrecen los compañeros y compañeras de esta comisión, quiero felicitarlos, reiterarles mi compromiso de que es importante que nosotros sigamos desarrollando la acreditación en el campo del perfeccionamiento docente. A nosotros solamente nos queda decirle que es importante para nosotros como facultad, como universidad, decirle al país un reto, que pese a la crisis que vivimos nosotros, y en esa crisis muchos de nuestros compañeros que trabajaban en el nivel medio han perdido su puesto de trabajo, compañeros inclusive del departamento de inglés. Nos sentimos que hemos cumplido también una de las tareas, que es la solidaridad con nuestro pueblo. Nosotros nunca podemos descuidarla. Esta es una universidad popular, crítica, que asumió el reto de acompañar a nuestro pueblo en sus grandes problemas, como ahora mismo un seminario que va a abordar el tema de la cultura, para saber esos códigos del sociolingüístico que existen y para poder descifrarlo desde el punto de vista epistemológico y metodológico. Qué bien, un avance significativo, pero también creo que la lucha por la patria, la lucha por tener una sociedad más justa, mucho más democrática, como la han realizado, nunca nosotros vamos a dejar que esas banderas se nos atropellen. Seguimos defendiendo la soberanía de nuestra patria, seguimos defendiendo un modelo educativo, seguimos defendiendo un modelo de seguridad social. Creo que eso jamás nadie nos puede quitar esos sueños, porque son una esperanza para construir universidad y patria. Muy agradecido por los compañeros, la dirección del departamento, sus docentes, sus estudiantes, y sepan ustedes que nosotros vamos a recoger, como lo estamos haciendo siempre, un departamento que ha demostrado su avance, ha construido un centro de inglés en los últimos años, está coordinando la enseñanza del TESOL en Panamá. Qué importante para nosotros la expansión y la diversificación de los estudios de posgrado. Eso es el camino. Nosotros no nos queda más esperanza que fortalecer el camino de la educación. Esa es la herramienta que nosotros vamos a heredar y esa es la herramienta que vamos a legar. A todos ustedes los que están en el seminario, nuestro agradecimiento durante estos 5 días para seguir deliberando otro conocimiento, otra educación y otra patria. Gracias, buen día y éxito en el seminario.
Gracias, doctor Olmedo, por estar aquí, por esas palabras y sí, auguramos éxito durante toda esta semana. Thank you, Professor Dr. Olmedo, for those words, and we hopefully will have success during this whole week. Now we'll have some words by Magister Adrián Jiménez, who is the director of the English School of the College of Humanities.
Good morning, Dr. Olmedo Garcia. Yesterday, it was Dr. Olmedo's birthday. Happy birthday, Professor Olmedo. It's a pleasure to have you here celebrating with us this great seminar. Magister Leidiana Hill, Vice Dean of the College of Humanities, Magister Gloria de Ho, Chairperson of the English Department, professors, colleagues, members of the Education, Culture, and Continuing Education, Professor Florencio Diaz and Edikel Santimateo, special guests. It's good to have you here. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's an honor to welcome you to this outstanding seminar, Beyond Words, the Transformative Impact of Culture on Adult English Education. I would like to extend a warm welcome to the speaker, Professor Rafael Cárdenas. Thank you, Professor Cárdenas, for sharing with us. I remember some years ago that we had a meeting, no? And we were talking with different authorities, and they were talking about the introduction of journals, academic journals at the university level. And Professor Cárdenas asked about international participation in international journals. And they say, no, are you crazy? They don't even accept academic articles in Spanish, and you're going to write in English? He broke the mold. He accepted the challenge, and he had more than 2 or 3 academic articles in an international way. Thank you, Professor Rafael Cárdenas. Also, I would like to thank those members of the committee that made this possible. Veronica, Randy, Marisol, Belsis, Joel, all the members. Thank you for giving the best, giving the extra mile. We have not seen it, but they have spent nights working hard, going into the extra mile with passion and love. Thank you for making this possible. I would like to thank God for giving us the opportunity of being here, sharing. We are alive with a lot of passion, with the desire to improve. Participating in this seminar gives us the opportunity to renew our brain cells, and enhances beauty. Why? Because when we are acquiring new information, we are engaging in learning and cognitive activities, and we are forming new neurons. And you might ask, how is it that Veronica and Marisol look so young and beautiful? They are so beautiful. Why? Because they work very hard and they give their best. And these kind of things reduces stress because it's made through love. It creates a vibrant appearance, and that's why you see that's our secret in the English department. You have seen professors that have been there for many years, and they look the same. Why? This is the reason. Okay, let's go into the main point. According to the National Institute of Statistics and Census of Panama, last year unemployment increased from 7 to 9%. According to Concerta, at this moment, there are 4,500 jobs that require advanced English skills. Enterprises are looking for C1. So the question is, what can we do? We have so many students that are coming to the English department to study English. You cannot believe so many, more than 1,000 students. We don't even have classrooms for all the students that want to enter the university to study English. Why? Because there is a need. Remember that the English language is the system, is the door that opens the opportunity to join that global world. It is a challenge that we have to help our students to improve their English skills. And not only that, we also have to help them to cross cultural boundaries and to participate in the globalized world. They have to get in contact with the culture, with the experience. We have to help them to be exposed to the social media, news, music, and the real work environment. So we have to get rid of the textbooks and try to find a way to connect the real world with our classes. This is the challenge, and this is the aspect that Professor Cárdenas is going to try to face in this seminar. He's going to provide the best tools that we can have to improve our English skills and in order to help them, to help the students to improve theirs. So we need self-improvement too. So this is an opportunity that we have to take into account to develop ourselves and others. I will encourage you to participate and give your best in this seminar. Thank you for your participation here, and I wish you the best. Take care.
Thank you, Professor Adrian Jimenez, for those greeting words. So we continue with our introductory words, and we'll present our speaker of the day. So we'll give him a very special welcome and thanks for being supportive to this committee. And we are sure that he will make this seminar an outstanding and innovative one. He will share with us the topic for the day, culture and body movement. So let's learn a little bit about our speaker of the day, no other than Professor Rafael Cárdenas. Professor Rafael was a Fulbright Fellow last fall for years 2011 to 2014. He obtained a degree in Master in Teaching English as a Second Language from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. He is an ESL instructor for students of the Intensive English Institute at UEUC. Extensive experience in training adults and youth in public and private educational institutions. He also helped design essential English courses, conversation materials, and resources for Panamanian students in tourism and bilingual secretarial studies, Universidad de Panamá. He is a certified translator of English, Spanish, English languages, and specialized in legal and commercial translation. He has a bachelor degree with a major in English. He also has experience in customer service in call centers and the hospitality industry. Has worked as a customer service agent, sales agent, and telephone interpreter for local call centers. Also he has been employed in the hospitality industry and in charge of the hotel's business center. He fulfilled he's a full-time associate professor at the Universidad de Panamá with 13 years of service. Also, a candidate for a doctorate in the doctoral program in humanities and social science. Has participated as and negotiated on behalf of UDELAS in the training program in English for Panamanians Mitrodel, Panamanian Ministry of Labor, and a national program designed for job insertion and new hires in the local call center industry between the years 2004 and 2005. It has more than 500 students were trained and employed after completing the program. It helped to generate more than $200,000 for UDELAS through funding from the Panamanian government. He has been a supervisor of English instructors and students during the Mitatel program. Supervise and help and position of program coordinator for English training for operation affiliate with ICAO to the Civil Aviation Authority of Panama between the years 2010 and 2011. Phases 3 and 4 of the program. Evaluation of civil aviation, air traffic controllers, and pilots to determine if they reach competency of levels 3 or 4. He also participated in training based on ICAO standards, programs, materials, and students evaluated according to ICAO criteria. He has acted as a liaison between UDELAS and civil aviation. Also participated in social service activities and fieldwork with the organization for Catholic teaching, Colegio Javier of the Jesuit Company, Panama. Professor Rafael Cárdenas is a BA student in the Humanities and Social Science at the Universidad de Panamá, MATSL, master degree from the Universidad of the Illinois University at Urbana-Champaign 2014, and he also has a postgraduate in Spanish-English translation at Universidad de Panamá from 2012. And with this presentation of his academic information, his social information, we introduce Professor Rafael Cárdenas to the participant. Professor Rafael Cárdenas, will be on at this moment.
All right. Thank you very much. Do you listen to me clearly, or
Yes,
is it okay?
yes.
Yeah, I also would like to know if I may share my screen with you, because I have a presentation is going to start running. I'm going to be presenting most of my content through a master PowerPoint. Is it okay if I
Yes, you
open
should
it
be
right
able,
now?
you should be able because you are co-host.
I'm going to go ahead and do so. So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and share. Just let me know if what I'm projecting from my screen is visible to you. Could you please let me know?
Not as yet.
You do see it
No, not as yet.
yet? Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm going to go start sharing, see if we could see this together.
Okay, we can see it now.
Okay. So full screen, right?
Yes.
Very good, very good. Okay, this is a major topic, okay? Whenever we talk about culture, this becomes taboo for many people, and the reason is obvious. What happens is that there's a lot of identity elements involved in the topic of this nature, such as culture. People feel that they already have a culture and that it may not be very nice for them to touch the topic, not even teach it or learn about it, but even touch it. So there is reluctance to learn about culture. Nevertheless, the topic is it's highly relevant because present day present day English teaching goes beyond simply learning linguistic skills or acquiring abilities in the language. What people need right now is much more command of the language in terms of how to carry themselves and approach and socialize. What we're going to be discussing during the seminar. I'm going to start moving along so you get an idea. So it's a big title, right? The transformative impact of culture in adult what we consider we need to know. Uh, Guess what? What we have discovered is that we don't know that much, and we're having students. This is becoming an ongoing trend. We're having more and more students who know sometimes better English than their instructors or teachers, and the reason is because they have traveled. Is traveling becomes a way of turning this occupation into something else. Just to give you an idea, the University of Panama has embarked itself in an internationalization policy. It's not a program. It's more of a concrete and specific demand coming from accreditation instances. Uh, these accreditation organizations are requiring universities such as ours, same as everybody's, 'cause, there are universities everywhere in the world that speak different languages, but everything has to go more international than ever because of the need to improve and establish quality standards. So, becoming very competent in the culture of the language that people are speaking on a global level requires a great deal of this awareness, right? We're becoming aware. What I'm going to go ahead and do right now is describe to you what we'll be doing during the session, and I'm going to cover 2 topics each day. So I have organized this presentation this way. We're going to have 10 topics for 5 days, so 2 topics will be covered each day. We're going to have then 10 topics. These are some of the, I don't know if you've checked in your classroom, if you had access to classroom yourselves. Is there anybody who could tell me if you have seen anything in Google Classroom?
Mm-mm.
Haven't. You will discover I posted over there some preliminary questions for the seminar, some uh, key terms that deserve our attention because they're going to be constantly, discussed and brought in as part of the discussion. They come from different areas. As you should know, when we talk about culture, this is not only linguistics or TESOL, so to speak, or second language acquisition that goes further beyond into the realms of social linguistics, sociology. We're going to go more into conversation analysis, this discourse analysis, the narrative, both in written and spoken forms. So there's some very technical terms that deserve our attention. I strongly advise you guys to take a look at those terms. I'm asking you to try to define. I am going to go ahead and start bringing some of them up because they're going to be the subject matter for the seminar. Kinesthetic, it's everything that has to do with movement. Okay, some people may consider now, why is it relevant for us to talk about body movement? Body movement has to do with how you carry yourself, how you behave in the context of other cultures. We are pretty much aware of Western civilization or Western culture from the Hispanic perspective, which is pretty broad. Spanish is an important language, as you all know. However, it's not exactly the same when we do it in the Anglosphere. The Anglosphere goes into the Bana cultures, or Bana countries. What is Bana? Bana is an acronym for British, Australian, North America. Okay, that even includes other parts of the world where English is spoken as an official language, such as South Africa, eh, Hong Kong, as it is right now, part of China. The Chinese say that they don't speak English, but that's one of the most important countries in terms of the number of English language speakers. Even Russia, so you'll discover that it's also a lingua franca in that part of the world. It may not be very official, but yes, English is important in that regard, that it has become more than lingua franca, a global language. It's a world language. And right now, it is all uh, captured under the paradigm of what we call the world Englishes. World Englishes. Okay? World Englishes. That includes the post-colonial territories such as present-day India, the Philippines, and Nigeria, so to speak, just to bring in some examples. And uh, present day inner circle, according to Kakru, which we will discuss later. Kakru was an important professor who designed a theory on the expanding circles, inner circles, and so forth of the English language and influence of language. Okay. Proxemics, not to wander off so far and coming back to the slide. Proxemics has to do with greetings and how we approach people, how close we can get to people. It's an important thing because we have to think in terms of our students. What we don't teach, they will not discover, at least not before they make a mistake. So, in order to avoid or prevent them from getting into awkward situations that involve foreign people they may have no contact with whatsoever before, it's important to at least bring in some of these elements. Haptics, okay, that has to do with how we manage touch. Okay, if it is okay for us to use our hands or some level of physical contact with people. Other elements involved in these dynamics of culture have to do with paralinguistic resources of communication, that those are involved in how we communicate a message in terms of tone, volume, speed, etc. And there are others that we are going to be talking about, such as cultural variations that have a lot to do with how we use language in order to make ourselves understood. It's not always easy. Many people speak about language and culture and they don't get the relationship between one or the other. We're going to discuss that in detail and we're going to try to clarify and see if it is possible for us to understand this topic better. I even have a proposal. The English department needs to follow up beyond Linguistics 300 at the third year. This is for Professor Jimenez. Probably he could take note, or whoever is in charge of that. We need further into social linguistics. Maybe we need a social linguistics 400 course, or maybe a language and culture 400 course, so that we can explore beyond and start bringing in cultural elements into the English department. There are other areas that we're going to be tapping into, such as speech act theory from Searle, and some other important authors of the 60s. This is not new. What I'm going to be presenting to you is not new. This has been around for a while. Probably it's been out of the radar for us because most of our curriculum is grammatical, and a lot of what we do responds to a very set curriculum based on more on the core, right? of linguistic content, but we need to start thinking of what else we can bring in order to make this a little bit more whole as a whole, you know. Social linguistics is a field in itself, right? We're going to be talking about culture also, and a culture iceberg. This is an important metaphor that is going to help us understand better what it is that we need to do. How culture has shaped theories and paradigms related to teaching culture into teaching, or more like specializing the way we approach language. This is also part of the content we're going to be discussing also. And the topic on intercultural competence has a lot to do with university internationalization as well. So, okay, I'm going to get started with this image. I'm going to be very visual here because remember, an image speaks 1,000 words, all right? Um, Nonverbal communication. What is all this about? Okay, so you may be thinking, does
Sorry,
it make
Professor
sense?
Rafael. Do you have a window open? Because we have like a rectangle in on your left side on yeah. Okay.
Still there
Thank
or
you.
gone? Is it gone?
Yes, yes, thank you.
All right. Nonverbal communication. What is all this? Um, well, remember, whenever we think of culture, we think about um, the food, clothing, uh, the national symbols. We think about important dates in the calendar. That's what culture means for most of the people. And we don't blame them for simplifying the term. Look, when we think of, in terms of tourism, this is what you offer a visitor, information about the way people live their lives. However, that's not all. There is this surface element that I just mentioned, and there is also a deep culture element that we need to bring in. What is all that? Well, that's the socio-cultural behavior. That's the way we carry ourselves, and we live our lives, and we socialize, and we uh, carry ourselves, express our ideas and values. Okay, and this is not religion or upbringing. It's more a collective history that has been shaped by social forces, economic forces of different kinds, right? Migration, immigration, all of that, the way people do business, all of that has to do with how we carry ourselves. Um, we have all kinds of things that we overlook, right? By things, I mean behaviors, conduct, um, ways of communicating that are not necessarily spoken. A lot of this is very specific, very culture specific. Okay, and I have over here in this image that I found very interesting, you know, general categorizations of each one of those areas. Facial expressions is one way. This is the probably the base form of communicating that comes from childhood. We learn that through our mothers. Right? Body language is also how we relate to others. That probably comes from the family, the school, how we relate and play, communicate ideas, how we get in touch with our neighbors and our surroundings and the people who live around us. Practice connecting with people, essentially. The importance of touch, gestures, how we move our hands, how we carry ourselves, how we move our bodies. We don't want to be aggressive. Sometimes we want to be opening. Sometimes we need to be relatable. All of that is involved in the use of gestures. Paralinguistics has to do with conveying a message that lures people or attracts people or convinces or persuades people in our favor. All of that it's also modeled by ways of examples that we find in our context. Eye contact, how we move, how we look at people, uh, if we look at them or not, we look down, we look up, if we look away, all of that is part of communicating messages. So I'm going to start with kinesics, okay? As I told you before, kinesics has to do with the movement of a body, okay? Movement. As I was telling you, I'm going to be pretty visual, all right? And very real, okay? No BS over here. I'll talk to you about what you already know, and so that we have the chance to reflect, okay, on this. As I was telling you before, some of these topics are pretty taboo, right? And the reason is because we already have a way of behaving ourselves, and we have a place in society. But we have to think about our students also. They don't have a place in society yet, and they are in the process of becoming someone in the context, right? In Panamanian, Spanish speaking context. However, they're also becoming English majors, and that means that they're going to be professionals in the English language. That requires them to have some knowledge and understanding of the importance of how they carry themselves, how they move. Okay, there are lots of symbols and communication that we do through our hands. We have some examples over here. So we may say that something is cool. We may say that something is okay. We may reject someone, mock people, reject them, say it's okay, open, and wish luck, right? Just to provide some examples, okay? Hand movements is an essential part of culture, because culture is embedded, as you can see, in how we feel. A lot of culture has to do with emotions, how you open, how you reject, how you commend. All of that is involved and immersed in it. So it's worth the effort of thinking about what is okay to teach, what could not be okay to teach. The fact that something may seem aggressive, such as the middle finger, that doesn't necessarily mean that it is hidden in the world. This is something that is in the world. Most of the people will know, but they also need to know that eh, that does not necessarily is evil or anything like that. Okay? That we have to accept different kinds of behavior, because that's the way the culture moves, right? Nonverbal communication has a lot to do with using our fingers, right? As you can see here, this person is pointing upwards. Uh, in general terms, upward finger movement is positive. Just recall the Roman emperors. So fingers up is live, fingers down, death. So a lot of this is to get people's attention, to make a point, uh, to probably uphold something that we consider is important. That's the way it goes. So nonverbal communication is, as you can see in this image, communicating, okay? Going outwards, right? Outwards, without speaking much, or as a way to support our words. Okay. Um, Many hand gestures and movements involve some hidden message. So my question is, for instance, this left image, what do you think that could be? The left image, the one to your left. I'd like to have some of our participants provide some, I don't know, input there. What do you think that is? I'm talking about the one with the fingers, the one on the left.
Does it refer to a lack of money or looking
Yeah,
for money?
yeah, very good. So for many people, this is movement that has been internationally acknowledged to mean some money is involved, right? Why do you think there is this thing? Because even though we're living in a world in which most of the money is digital and we pay with a credit card, you won't do a credit card movement or show like credit or maybe a card or card sign to mean payment, because money is, we still think in terms of paper money, cash. That's the currency we grew up with, and this is very cultural, and it's all over the world. Because you think of the Russian ruble, the Chinese yuan, the pound in the UK, or Canadian or American dollar, etc., or pesos in Latin America, colones in Costa Rica, etc. So all of that is paper money, paper based. So it's a symbol that has to do with some idea, and the idea is something physical. Money is something real. I don't know if you see that. That's one of the reasons, probably because we have things such as um, all over the world immediately. This is taking time, and there is a lot of resistance. The resistance is related to the concept of the physicality, the materiality of money. The money has to be something that you can touch, that you carry in your pocket. That's why you see that you touch it with your fingers and you carry it because you own it. The fingers mean ownership, really. On the right side, you have another international symbol, right? What do you think this is? Is there anybody who could provide some input for me, please?
Perhaps uncertainty, doubt.
Exactly. A lot of this stress. There is the stress. There is the stress because this stress, because this person seems worried, concerned about something that probably is not working the way he planned. And why taking the hands on the head? Because this is the root of all the ideas. This is where all ideas come from, right? Everything is thought before, cannot do what he or she um, planned, then things are not going according to his or her schedule, plan, idea, organization. So it's some kind of feeling of being uneasy, right? He's uneasy, and the look on his face, also his eyes, he reflects concern. He's worried. Something's not working. Something's not right. Okay, so this gives us an idea of what we are talking about. That um, many gestures are embedded in culture. Now, I would like some predictor here from our audience to let me know what you think is going on with these two people. We have a person on the left with his palms up, and we have a second one on the right. It's a lady. Take a look at her expression and take a look at her hand. What do you think is going on over here? And don't think of this as we are going back to basics, but believe me, trust me, many people don't have a clue. And this is where a lot of the misunderstandings begin. It's important to read people and look at them and try to get an idea or catch an idea, get the gist of what they're trying to communicate, right? So what's going on with the gentleman on the left? What do you think that is, please? Well, if you have no clue, um, just to
Well,
give you a hint,
perhaps he's lost. He doesn't know what to do, where to go.
okay, good. So just like fingers up is something positive or some point or something that you want to highlight that is positive because you're not rejecting anybody, or you're not uh, telling off a person, or you're not making them feel like something is wrong because there is no fingers down. It's palms up. It's like um, I need I need something. Okay, see, palms up generally is a way of doing some begging to some extent. You beg some help. You beg some assistance, you ask for something that is missing. You see, something's missing. Then the look at his expression. eh, that's also a symbol of wondering. Imagine you don't know the language of a culture or of a country you visit. What can you do? Well, you need to rely on your gestures. So, is this important? Very important, because this is what should accompany the language that you're going to be, using for communication. On the left, we have a lady. What do you think is going on with her? What do you think?
I think she is thinking or worried about something.
That is correct. She has what we call a decision-making phase, right? She is wondering, or she is planning, or she is making a decision about something. Uh, Her hand reflects that she's not acting right now, but she's preparing herself to act on something. Okay, so this is I would say in few words, the explanation to this movements. Should we teach our students how to carry themselves as they speak? Of course, this is going to help them communicate better. Eh, the first barrier that people face is not linguistic. The first barrier they face is cultural, because you cannot use the Spanish codes that you learned and use them in another culture and think that those mean the same. They are not necessarily the same. Uh, Following up with our hands and kinesics, it's important to bear in mind that fingers are internationally and I would call widely known as a way of communicating how we feel, how we what our emotions are. Uh, Sometimes it's a way to avoid physical contact with other human beings, but through our hands, without touching them, we're telling them that we have some emotions. Probably we're nervous, concerned, worried. Uh, Something is wrong. Something shouldn't have been expressed that way, or probably some mishap or miscommunication occurred. All of this is part of this communication that requires very good uh, understanding of how we communicate ourselves. Sometimes not saying anything, just looking at a person. So when we cross our arms, everybody knows this is, we're reflecting probably we're closed to the person's intentions or ideas. If you cover your eyes, probably it's you don't want to see something, or you don't feel you want them to pay attention to you, not you to them. So it's a part of all of these dynamics. Okay, this is kinesics, and a lot of it. For instance, now we have this hand gestures here on the left. It's very good for us to go over. Uh, the two fingers up, as we say, fingers up is positive. This is peace, as you all know. Um, Two hands up, palms together. That's praying or asking for some favor, or having a positive and in a way, um, welcoming way. Fist bumps, as you see there, that's more solidarity than anything. We're expressing solidarity, equality. It can also come, as you see on the side, that's more like partnership. Partnership. We're partners in this. And now, sometimes we may have fingers down. Fingers down may, in general, mean something negative. But in this case, that could refer to something very specific. Um, speaking out something concrete, right? That's a way. Welcoming language, as you can see here, it's palms up. These are all, in general, I would say, positive ways of using our hands for movement. And as I was saying, children need to learn how to communicate emotions. Now, not that we want to speak ill of people with some conditions, but people with a certain level of disability generally have trouble identifying human emotions. And this could create a serious problem. You need to teach a baby, if you've had a baby, I had to do it several times. You have to teach them how to react when you're angry. They need to learn that when you're angry, they have to get serious, not that they have to laugh at people telling them that something's wrong, giving them a serious face or a serious look. You don't want them to laugh and play more. You're regulating the way they react to people's behavior, and this starts from childhood. Uh, Unfortunately, not all human beings are being able to probably learn all of this about facial expressions. It's very useful to have an idea of what people's emotions are. We have some other cases over here. We have a thinking face, right? On the left, a thinking face on the left. Everybody knows that these hands on the chin mean that the person is thinking, making a decisions, listening, paying attention. Um, this is another, widely known symbol of two fingers together like this. This is more than anything. We have pinky fingers this way. It's like we have an agreement. Okay, we have some kind of pact. Okay, it's going on. Okay, we have some pact. We're making an agreement. We're making a decision. A lot of this is about decision making. On the left is before the proposal, considering somebody's proposal or idea, and then on the right you have agreement or pact that's informally performed. Do you think our students need to learn this? I'd like to ask the audience. I'd like to listen to at least one or two opinions.
Well, I think it has to do with the culture. As you said, here in Panama, our culture is one thing, and maybe misinterpreted by a person who visits us from another culture. And but sure, I think it is important to teach this to our students because they need to understand not only our culture but also some other cultures. And mainly, if they have the opportunity to study abroad, it doesn't matter where, they need to be aware of the fact that there are some gestures that represent something specifically for that specific culture. But yes, I agree with the fact that yes, this has to be taught.
Absolutely, and I should also add to that that generally these simple things are taken for granted. Okay? We have to stop taking this for granted because when you go into a different context, when there is where there is nobody from your background, then you have to start behaving and carrying yourselves in very specific ways. Um, eh, our students need to have an idea of what is okay, what is not okay in terms of movement, right? Very good. So far, this is all I have to say about uh, kinesics, which is body movement. Um, I should also add to this the following. Uh, One of the reasons we consider foreigners to be awkward in communication is essentially because they don't accompany the way they speak with the right body movement. Okay, this is necessary. This is very necessary for us to highlight and tell uh, our students that they need to mimic to some extent so that they are better understood. And that doesn't mean that their culture is changed or altered. They're learning a different way
I'm
for some
sorry.
specific contexts. Yes.
I'm sorry,
Sure.
Dr. Cardenas. I don't know if you're reading the messages in the chat, but
No, I don't have access to that. No, not yet.
oh, so okay, no, I know. So I believe that our students are more connected with the body language than we were when we were students, as they have access today to a lot of content and social networks. So I think they know body language, yet they don't know what it is. They don't
Very
know
good.
the name of body language, but they indeed they know what happens when a person is communicating with their body. They know a lot of that, even more than what we did in our times when we were studying the language. So
Good.
I think it's a good idea to tell them that this is body language.
Correct. And for instance, what have we learned so far? We have learned something important. Always keep fingers pointing up. Um, that is positive in general terms. Uh, Gesturing with fingers down, that is generally misinterpreted. For instance, in English speaking culture, it's not okay to point at people. Well, I think it's not okay anywhere, but especially there, you have to be careful with who you point, and you do other movements like you point with your chin, you point with your elbow, or you point with your shoulder, or you try to be careful. So they may find it aggressive behavior, and many of the prejudices and stereotypes that develop um, attach to some culture, some backgrounds, have to do with this miscommunication occurring at different levels. This is one of the essentials of behavior that I think deserves our attention. But believe me, this is just the beginning tip of the story, because part of it is also proxemics, right? Proxemics. Thank you, Professor Shao, for your comment. It's a very valuable one. Now, I should ask the audience, what do you think proxemics is? What does it sound like? I told you already, but I think you should have better grasp now of what the term means. Proxemics. What do you think that is?
Does it have to do with the zone of proximal development?
No, not necessarily educational theory. No, it's
It's
more
a
about
distance. It's about the
distance.
distance, the body distance.
Distance. Why distance? Why do you think distance is a relevant topic in culture?
I don't know, but we in Latin America, we touch very much. We get too close to people, and I've learned that people, for example, in other countries like in UK, they don't like you to be too close to them when you talk. It's considered
Right.
a lack of respect.
Exactly. So distance has to do with space, physical space, personal space. Um, everyone is entitled to some space. However, in some cultures, such as individualistic cultures, of which are like this Anglosphere, Bana countries, they belong to the category of highly individualized cultures in which individuals they're supposedly at the center of all events. So everybody is entitled or will demand some personal space. And this is space that's not necessarily only physical, it's also mental. It's also mental space that they will fight for. Okay, so let's think of this image over here. So what do we have over here? Is there anybody who can tell me what you see? What do you see?
a group of people waiting for. Could be a bus or your turn to get something.
That's correct. So I should ask you, is it okay? Is it common, or was it common 50 years ago? Let's imagine 50 years ago in Latin America for people to stand in line like this. Most of us are in our 50s, so let's think probably 20, 30 years ago. Did you see anything like this in our context? Talking about Panama, Panamanian culture, what you know, what we know as Panamanians. Is there anybody brave enough to answer my question?
Can you repeat the question?
My question is this, and I'm going to be very specific. During the Diablos Rojos period of public transportation in Panama, did you ever see anything like this?
No,
No.
Okay,
no.
yeah, I can tell you more. The only place where you could see people standing in line in order to catch a bus was when they were traveling into the former Canal Zone at the bus station that's used to be located in Caledonia, Buses de Saca. Okay, those are or the transportation into the former Canal Zone. The situation is this: in our Latino culture, we don't have much of that concept of personal space, not even mental. And people would fight getting on a bus very quickly, or they would sit next to each other on a chiva, right? That was a transportation that was used back then. Now, you'll discover that all over Latin America, wherever you go to Honduras, you go to Nicaragua, you go elsewhere in Latin America, people have no trouble having some physical contact. And the reality is that this notion is not in people's heads in general. And now people climbing on El Metro de Panama, you see that they just approach the opening door, and there is no ladies first or children first or anything like that. You just go there and fight for your space, and you go for your position, and that's it. And it's okay. Some in some cases this is possible, but in general terms, people, for instance, from the Bana cultures, Bana, British, Australian, North American context, they have this idea that you have to respect their space. There must be some space in standing in line, and um, you shouldn't get ahead of people. And some people will be very they get upset if you pry over their shoulder. Are you aware of this?
Mhm. Yeah.
Professor, I have another idea when I see these pictures of this image. It's Jesus talking. And that I think that happens very often in government offices when you have to wait for hours in long lines to complete a procedure. That's what comes to my mind when I see that picture. I don't know if I'm wrong or not, but that's very usual in these government offices when you have to wait there for long hours to complete a procedure, right? And people complain about that, and it's still happening nowadays. So
Very interesting.
That could be the context, right? That's what comes to my mind when I see it. That's a
But
comment.
I'd like to,
Please.
I'd like to bring something to your attention also, Yidis. This is one of the main topics foreigners in Panama complain about. That they say that attention is not very good, that they have to stand in lines, because this is an idea of what happens in states where there's this totalitarian communist context, which humans are not important, but the state is more important than the human being. You see, when you get foreigners coming to Panama, they feel that they're not important anymore, and it's because of this way. It's nothing that I have against standing in line. This is necessary. This is necessary everywhere in the world. At some point, everyone will do that. We have to avoid this situation at all costs. So in most offices, which are human or humane, what they do is that they offer you chairs or spaces for you to sit as you wait. And then now we have this systems that call you by number, and you just listen for your turn at A2 or 3-4 or etc. And you attend a cubicle while you're sitting, and you don't have to stand in line as if you were they were going to do some favor to you. So there's this idea that people are entitled to respect.
Okay.
So all of this is also related to respect. Sure. Somebody wants to comment something. Sure.
Thank you, Professor.
Is there anybody else who wanted to say something? Okay. I should tell you this. Also, be aware that we have men and women standing in line. Inappropriate use of personal space or invasion of personal space of a man approaching a woman, that could be considered very inappropriate, or improper. People will not feel comfortable, and they may start looking at you. So you have to be aware of this. Everywhere you go, there must be some space. Among Americans, it's very important to leave a lot of space, and you should not look over their shoulder because they will not like it. Okay, it's very important. They think you're being disrespectful, and so many situations will arise, and that leads to possible harassment accusation, possible potential harassment accusation. So okay, there we have an idea of a theory of personal space. This is not something that's been said, but giving you an approximation of what is comfortable and what is uncomfortable for someone. So we have public space, that's further away, social space when you may have some communication with these other human beings. Personal space is when you are with someone who comes with you to do something. Intimate space is personal space of you with your relatives or maybe your spouse, someone you know very well. So yeah, how far should we remain? Well, I don't know. At arm's length, probably. That's the be considered a good personal space. Now, consider these two situations over here. What do you think is going on?
Now, on the left image is clearly the observe that uh, one of the guys doesn't like the fact that having the other man too close to him.
Exactly. This is the core message of this section on proxemics. We need to keep a distance. You see, even though you may have a relationship and you may know this person, you don't know them so well as to approach them this way so close. Okay, this is considered uncomfortable and could be interpreted in so many different ways, and we don't want people to reject us, or we don't want to reject people, so we need to be aware of keeping this distance. It's not only among professionals, but it's among all human beings, because believe it or not, professional people have some demeanor, have a better idea, better understanding of distance, because you are part of a system that divides people in categories or hierarchies. But people who are not professional, they probably have no clue about any of this. And this involves, for instance, our students. They have no idea that they are not Okay, it's not okay for them to touch. It's not okay for them to pat on the back, pat on the shoulder, pat on the side, or grab an arm, or talk to people on their ear. All of that is inappropriate. And believe it or not, people tend to do that when they think it's okay for them to do that. I think it's not okay at any moment, especially considering that you are communicating with a different culture, and our students are students of English, right? Foreign language in Panama. In Panama, we do have an official language in Panama and an official culture, which is Panamanian, and it's in Spanish, and it's Hispanic, former Spanish colony, right? We do have some inheritance from the Canal Zone, but most of this is long gone. Newer generations, they're more Hispanic than anything, and they have to know that we should know the difference, right, between one or the other, especially on the right. You see some of the expected distances and hand gestures. Also, smiling is important for rapport, because rapport is necessary in communication. Some people tend to overlook this important aspects of communication, and they think it's only about their how they feel, what they think, and how they feel, and not about the person they're communicating with. Okay. Uh, Keeping hands in a neutral zone. Keeping hands in a neutral zone. Okay, we need to talk about this also. Um, you shouldn't have hands inside a pocket, or reaching out for something in your pockets, or some belonging. Uh, People expect full attention. This is part of being, um, um, a good fellow, a good person. It's part of offering active listening. And active listening is not only I'm listening to you, but looking at people in the eye, right? This is not only education, home-based education. It's also essentials for good relations in life. This is part of the skills necessary for life. And the reason for keeping hands in a neutral zone is to show respect, and to keep also a distance, or telling the person that you're hedging. So I know you have a position, I have mine, but I'm going to be stressing mine, you see. And for instance, on the right, you see that this lady is holding her belongings very tight to her body. It seems like she doesn't feel, so there is some apprehension in her behavior. Probably she held her belongings, probably, I don't know, on the side, or maybe carrying it on the side. That'll be less defensive, but she's pretty defensive over there. While he's being, I think, very assertive. Look at his hand, palm up. He's communicating in a very open way, and she's very close. You see, this is proxemics. So on the right picture, you see that she's not very friendly. We can tell very easily. While he is very friendly, without being disrespectful or anything, because he's probably keeping a distance. I think he's probably invading a little bit of her space. Maybe that's why she has such a reaction. Okay. Here's what I was talking about before: patting on the shoulder, patting on the back. Um, this is essentially pretty disrespectful, I would say. You do this with people you know only, or with very close relatives. This is some behavior that need to be discouraged. If our students are going to be communicating with foreigners from other cultures, they have to understand that there must be a distance. It's necessary to have a distance, and that this behavior is okay if the person invites this behavior to occur. This physical behavior, this kind of physical contact, this level of physical contact on people's face. So imagine that. Some comments regarding this topic. Is there anything you'd like to tell me concerning this? So my question is this: do you think this is relevant for culture?
Yeah, I think it even affects the way people talk. And but I didn't have the experience, but I've always wondered, my colleagues and classmates who could travel to study to other countries, to native speakers English in English countries. How do you did you have a training about this, or did you learn this with the um, in I mean, while you were studying, while you were in contact with the culture?
Very interesting point. There is a very serious gap in terms of this kind of information. Uh, Personally, I didn't even have anybody from Fulbright mention anything concerning intercultural communication, because this is what this is. It's more than intercultural, it's cross-cultural communication, because you have people from all over the world that you're communicating with. There's certain ideas that you need to understand, and one of those is that in many cultures, physical contact is a big no-no. Okay, it's a big no-no. In Latino culture and among others, they're like touching and they're very physical, and they need that probably level of intimacy. But this is not accepted or commended or seen as right. Okay, there is some reluctance, prejudice, prejudice concerning this, and then this bias affects the whole Latino as a community, because people feel like touching, and there is no respect for women, and so many other things associated with which are stereotypes. And this is all caused because of ignorance. Ignorance, and it's not okay. It's not okay that we don't talk about these topics because we feel that it's not necessary or it's taboo. No, it's necessary for us to bring this up so that people start catching the idea and getting the idea, right?
Um,
So, sure, go ahead.
yeah, when I was working once, and I was working in United Nations, and every time a new person came to the country, they had a briefing, a cultural briefing for that person, and they explained them how we work in Panama, for example. And when Panamanians were traveling to a meeting or something, there was a person that was telling us how to behave in certain countries. For example, if we go to the Arabic world, or if we travel to Europe, they will teach us how to behave according to the culture.
Yes. Unfortunately, I think many international organizations are understaffed concerning um, really explicitly touch or deal with topics such as this, which could be controversial. Probably they're trying to avoid controversy and not feel people like there's going to be trouble for them. But it's necessary for people to know that some behaviors are just not accepted or are, not taken lightly. Okay, so just to bring something up here that should accompany what I'm talking about is these two ladies. You see that two ladies on the left that they're touching each other's shoulder. There's a lot of gender solidarity reflected over there. Gender solidarity. So if she were a man, that wouldn't be okay for her. Okay. So this is something that we need to help people understand. There is nothing discriminatory, but gender solidarity in many cases is okay. You may have someone pat on the back. Well, if there is an authority and there is someone who's under that authority, that could be okay in the case, given the case. But in general, professional behavior, it's more at a distance. So you can see here the lady reaching out and showing her hand, offering her hand for handshake. This is more professional. And what you need to tell people, you tell them and you look at them in the eye. You don't behave this way, being probably touching them disrespectful or anything. So here probably you have on the left two friends. Maybe they know each other. They're laughing. They have something in common. Probably this is not a problem for them to have some physical contact, at least at that level. You see. But then if he touches his tie, or the other person's tie, that's a problem. That's a problem. You see. So it's okay. If your shoulder may be patting on the back. Students deserve to know, and I should bring this up. So it's necessary. Here we have another issue: eye contact. So, is there anybody here who knows what is the rule of thumb? Eye contact in Bana cultures, Bana, British, Australian, North America. Rule of thumb. On uh, human beings coming from Bana cultures. Now, many of you members of this seminar or participants, you were students in the English department, and everybody should remember when we attended speech classes that one of the required behaviors when you were delivering a speech was keeping eye contact. What do you think that was?
It was a symbol of paying attention, respect also.
Is there any other reason you could think of beyond respect and attention, as you say?
Connection.
Very good. Very good. So do you think that was was it necessary for them to have that? Because a person could speak or deliver speech looking out the window or looking at their notes or looking at their flashcards.
Well, maybe the speaker demonstrate the self-confidence the speaker had, looking at the eye of the, keeping the eye contact with the audience. Maybe that is a level of self-confidence you demonstrate.
Very good. I think you just hit the nail on the head, Suri. And the reason is you should be speaking the truth at all times. And the way of projecting that you're truthful and trustworthy is that you look at people in the eye. So one of the things that people hate about politicians is that they lie to you, as they say in English, through their teeth. But in Spanish, they look at you in the eye and they lie to you anyway. You see? And when you look at people in the eye, what you are communicating with all yourself is that you are telling them the truth, because people hate to be lied to. What do you think about that? One of the questions they ask you when you are at the consulate, for instance, I had the opportunity here at the American consulate in Clayton, is that they ask you questions like, will you sell drugs in the United States? Of course, you jump immediately, you say no. But then you think, why do they ask you such a question? Will you traffic drugs? Will you sell drugs in the United States? Know that you're going there as a visitor. Maybe as a tourist, you're going there as a student, you're going there through a sponsored program by the Department of State, all of that. And you're going there and you're just a visitor. But they ask you that kind of thing. Why do you think they ask you that? Does it make sense that they ask you, are you going to sell drugs or do such and such illegal thing? Yes, they want to make sure you look at them in the eye and you deny that and they take note. So if you go ahead and you sell drugs over there, then you lied and they have grounds to deport you. So it's morally correct to report you because you lied at an immigration desk before traveling to their country, because you stated some intentions and then you didn't live up to the expectations. I don't know if this makes sense to you. So looking at people in the eye is important because lying is not okay. That's what people don't want you to do. They don't want you to lie, and you see, it's very serious business. Else to say regarding eye contact? Maybe you do have a question for me. You haven't asked me anything. All right, moving a little bit beyond. Okay, so I'm gonna stretch this last 5 minutes before we get to the break. It's time. It's 9:53. I just have a couple of minutes before I have to stop. So I'd like to say this. You see on the left, you see a lot of friendship and you see solidarity, but what's wrong about that picture? You don't see people's faces. So do you think they're really communicating themselves? Do you trust that they really um, like each other? I should tell you no, because they are not looking at you. They're not looking at who is to decide if they are good friends or not. They say that they support each other through their movements. That's the kinesics. That's the proxemics in action, but there is no eye contact. So this communication is not effective. In many cases, you see people that they don't need to look at each other in the eye and they hug and they touch, but that communication probably is very intimate. It's good for them, but for whoever's looking from beyond or is outside their circle, we don't know what really is going on. Many things could be happening because we want to see people's eyes. Then, on the other hand, you see right beneath that these two gentlemen are looking at us in the eye with different facial expressions. Um, if you had to pick one of the two, probably the one on the left with the black polo is the one who's communicating a little bit better because he's trying to communicate, reach out to you and tell you something with their hands up. Lots of hands up. You see, this is what we call maybe a begging gesture, right? Or some request is happening, or maybe some question they're asking, some information they need, and they're looking at you, and this is like more like asking for permission. For instance, on the right, you see the gentleman is looking up. He is rolling his eyes. This is very unfriendly, very unfriendly. This is uneducated, and you're talking to a person you're probably ignoring purposefully this person you're communicating with instead of building some rapport. So I don't know. I think you should see the point of what we are trying to communicate over here is that kinesics and proxemics should be elements to accompany as the language we or the words that we communicate that we utter, as we speak, and we communicate through language. Eye contact is a major element, right? This is how we really build rapport. People don't want to be lied, so you look at them in the eye as you speak, and then you stand in front of them, and you cannot walk or talk to them sideways or anything like that. You turn to them, with your shoulders, and you talk to them, and you tell them the best, you can, what they expect to listen from you, which is must always be the truth. We have to be truthful, even though it may be a harsh truth, but it's better to be honest. Right? Honesty is everything in communication. It's already 9:57. I don't know if Professor Marisol would like to say something before the break.
Well, I would like to ask you if the break is of 5, 10, or 15 minutes.
I think 15 minutes is okay with me. I don't know. What do you think?
Sorry, could you repeat? I didn't hear you. There is something with your mic. I don't know, I cannot hear you.
Yeah,
Hear me?
Probably the signal.
Hello, you listen to me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying that 50 minutes is okay. 15 minutes.
All right. Yeah, 15 minutes. Well,
15, yes.
we are going to have a break of 15 minutes. Please go ahead and have your coffee, enjoy your time, but come back in 15 minutes. Thank you.
Professor Cardenas, are you there?
I'm right here.
Okay.
Time to get out of sharing, okay? Stop sharing. This time, right? Okay, we're back.
All right. If I'm not wrong, I think it's already 10:15. Is it?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
After 10:15, 10:08
Okay.
now.
10:18. All right. Wonderful. So let's move on. So going back to where we were before, um, I need to stress, and I think I can't stress enough how important it is to keep visual contact every time we speak and we communicate an idea. So this is serious issue. I think many of us, because of our culture, Latino background in general, because we live in Latin America. This is a Latin country, Latin America. We tend not to look at people always in the eye and lock this eye contact because we're not very transactional. That's the reason why. So we're more family based, and it's a collective culture. Okay, we are collectivists. We're not individualistic, and that causes us to be less uh, confrontational. We don't want to face people very much. One way to prevent conflict is to look away. Okay. In our culture, one of the most important things is the family, and that translates to uh, our professional group, field of expertise. That translates to associations or institutions we belong to, or political parties, and that's what Latinos tend to consider their loyalties remain. Nevertheless, in other cultures which are more individualistic, eh, just a handshake, locking eyes with a person is considered enough to make a deal, make an official deal. So the value of a person's word, of a person's word is golden. Okay, and this is translated in how we carry ourselves and how we communicate with other people. One of the worst things to be in an individualistic culture is untruthful, someone is a liar, a cheater. That's harshly penalized. Just to bring in an example, as we know cheating occurs in every part of the world. Chinese people, they cheat, they steal intellectual property. This is something that they've been accused for a long time. They've been accused about this for a long time, and this is very common in Asian cultures, except for some, such as, for instance, the Japanese. They have more. They try to uphold more Western values of looking at cheating as something illegal. Uh, but if you cheat in school, and you discover that they discover that you did that in most Western universities, they even rebuke your degree or take it back, because it's something that you did not earn. So there's this idea of people earning their things legally, uh, bona fide um, through bona fide effort, right? Following the right paths in order to accomplish goals and all of that. So corruption, corruption is how we uh, rid ourselves from eye contact. Helps us get out of all of that corrupt circle, or that idea of that fear of corruption, right? So it's important that we also speak about this, because some people tend to disregard the topic. It's very relevant. It's very relevant. Trust issues come from speaking the truth. So okay, I'm going to move a little bit beyond now to do a recap of some of the concepts we've been talking about, so that these ideas stay with us and stick. I don't know if you've checked your classroom, but I posted already over there some takeaway questions for today's session. Those are required for us to answer as part of the scheme for this seminar. So I recommend you to take the document and provide the best answer to the best of your understanding of the questions we're asking. What I am asking you over there in that takeaway section is essentially what I'm showing you right now, okay? Which is a little bit more thorough in terms of the concepts we discussed today. So what is proxemics? As you read here, is the study of how people use and perceive space, interpersonal communication. Okay, and one of the big names behind this is Edward Hall. Right? This is from anthropology. Probably that's why we don't see that much of this language education or second language education or second language studies, which is our field. Second language studies or language education. That's our field. Anthropology is tied, right, to because there's some ideas about language that were developed back in the 60s. So I was telling you before that these ideas are not new. Okay? Many of these things are pretty old, probably overlooked over here because of our context. We don't need it, as we feel we probably don't need it. But I think there is pressure for us to start looking in this direction now that we have students involved in the University of Panama internationalization efforts for mobility, for taking part in international congresses and academic activities of different sorts. Also for the professors, colleagues or faculty who may wish to travel. This cross-cultural communication ideas are necessary. So yes, it's important to respect distance, to be mindful of um, people's ideas of space, right? Personal space shouldn't be invaded, must be respected above all, and that may cause a great deal of miscommunication and trouble if we don't uh, stress this topic enough. So once more, proxemics is a study of communication and space. Okay? Space, essentially. How we communicate with our bodies and we show respect for the other, right? For the other. So remember the name, Edward T. Hall. Edward T. Hall. You may look up about Mr. Hall, eh, get his papers. I think most of this is available for free in the Internet Archive, and I've seen a couple in Google Scholar. So, okay, on Hall's theory, their personal space zones. Okay, this is another important takeaway from today's discussion. Okay? We need to remember that there are distinct zones of interpersonal personal distance. Okay, why do we refer to American culture? Bana countries are somewhat diverse, but American is more probably known to us as we live in this part of the world. Okay? This is the language mostly speaking in this hemisphere. Right? So we cannot say that we're going to focus on British or some other variety or educated variety of the English language or culture, Urbana context. So we need to stress very much that learning the ropes, of American culture ways is useful. It's a segue to learn about some other more specific, uh, similar cultures. So, personal space zones, and as I was saying before, respect and using distance as a way to respect the other. Once more, I'd like to bring up this image over here that shows that it's not only how we move, how we gesture with our hands, how we look at people, how we carry ourselves. It's also important to be aware that there's space for intimate contact, human contact, or human relations, personal space, there's social space, and there's public space. Uh, Professionals, as I was telling you, because of their training, the education, they've had grown to have an idea of what this means. Since professional people belong to a hierarchy or organization in which their these codes of behavior are part of everyday communication. Um, People who are not professionals, by that I mean people who without a degree, people who haven't gone or haven't attended college for 4 years at least, they may not have a very clear idea of how to behave themselves in a hierarchy, um, about the kinds of, all they know is that they have to respect people, okay? But they don't know how to carry themselves as someone to be listened to, and someone who needs to communicate with people who are under them and above them. This is difficult for many people, believe it or not. Many of them don't have any idea, or they think this is like you are um, eroding their dignity. Or some of them may misunderstand it of some way, or feel like you're trying to change their way of behavior or their culture, that you're trying to uh, affect their self-esteem, and it shouldn't be so. What we're talking about here is doing things in a different way. Right? We have our own way, and there is also the other way, the way of the individuals coming from other cultures. In our case, since we study English, it's the Bana cultures. Okay, and in many circles, academics say that it's not possible to teach these things. That's why probably they don't talk much about this. Among social linguists, anthropologists, they just don't uh, deal with this very much because they say this is all dynamic and this is changing as time passes on and cultures evolve. They have some uh, they have some logic in their thinking. However, with the advent of uh, communication through internet and fast travel around the world, things have changed from the 60s and 70s. Now that we're in the second decade of the 21st century, now people communicate a lot more. There's more traveling than ever, and there is a lot more online contact than ever. So you may be attending an online intercultural or cross-cultural meeting or conference at any time and communicating with people from any part of the world in English, which is a lingua franca, or the language of communication, language of contact for many nationalities and many regions of the world. So it's important to be aware of this, that even in online communication, you must be aware of this notion of space, because remember, it's not only physical, it's also mental. So I have a question for you. How do you think you could keep this idea of space? How could you uh, respect people's space in online communication? I'd like to ask you that. I'd like to listen to somebody's idea. Let me ask you again. How do you think you could keep this idea of space by Hall, by Edward T. Hall, in online communication? In online communication.
Profe, Cárdenas, could you repeat the question because I have some interference with the internet connectivity. Can you repeat the
Absolutely.
question, please?
Sure. This is my question. You know that these ideas by Edward Hall on personal space are mostly physical. As you can see in the image I'm projecting, there is this physical distance. However, this space idea, this idea about personal space is also mental. How could you promote or how could you apply these principles on personal space in online communication? Online communication, as we are right now, virtual contact. How could you do it?
Well, it really matters, your question, and it makes me wonder, because it's kind of difficult with the online communication and thinking about the personal space or the intimate space. It's kind of difficult to think about that. Maybe I think that matters with the open camera and the locked camera, that we have these rules now. I know that the open camera really gets a lot of more data. Students spend a lot of more money when they have open cameras, as I understood in the last seminar we had about this. So it's very difficult to what you're doing, delivering a speech, and the cameras are closed and no eye contact and so on. Something to think about it. That's my participation, because I really liked your question, but I lost the connectivity in some moment somehow. Now I'm back. Yeah, it's difficult, Professor Cárdenas.
My question is this: do you think you really need to look at people? Let's say if you cannot look at them, how else could you respect their mental space?
I guess that it also has to do with the language that you use. It really depends if it is a person that you know, and if it is your friend, well, you're going to use friendly language. But if it is a person that you don't know, you're going to use formal language for them to know that you're keeping certain distance. And also being, let's say, of communicative, paying attention to what the person says is important.
Yes, you just made an important point here. Um, just by being respectful and listening to people, and allowing them time to respond. And this is very important. This is a way to respect their mental distance, because it's not
Your mic is
rush presentations. It's very important to allow them to think and reflect about what you're telling them. Yes, you wanted to say something else.
well. Just a side comment. It doesn't have anything to do with the with what we are sharing right now. It's just that the classroom link is in the chat room and the code is there too. So please access the classroom, because so far there are only 10 participants registered in classroom, but I see that there are 20-something people here. So you have to join the classroom. Thank you.
Good. Yes. What you will find over there is under work assigned. I have takeaways from day one, and then you'll get a Microsoft Word document with some questions over there. We expect you to reply. As soon as you're done, then you'll post your answer, and it's going to be there as evidence of your reflection. Okay, very good. So going back to the topic, remember, it's not only physical space, it's also mental space. Right? Allowing people time to understand what you're telling them, and allowing them time to respond as you can. That's all a part of space. This notion of space and respect for the other. Okay, here's a little bit more detailed information about this. Of course, they don't have anything on virtual communication because this is something new. It's a new phenomenon, especially after the pandemic. Now people speak about communication occurring online. This is very relevant. And the reason why I bring this up is because some people may take this for granted. Like, okay, I can handle myself my way because I'm Latino. No, and I'm going to reflect my culture. No, because we're going. What we do when we assume that attitude is that we make all of those prejudices, bias, and stereotypes stronger. We make them hold, and we have to be mindful that what we need to do is reach out to other people and keep communication flowing without any of those negative ideas about race or gender or any other regard. So we need to really communicate the best way we can, just to build bridges, not burn the bridges. So here we go. Friends and families, personal space, acquaintances and business, that's social space. And on average, that's the space. That's the space recommended by Hall. Okay, this is another important concept that we need to mention today, territoriality, right? So this is how people defend spaces. This is a real construct in many fields, namely sociology and anthropology. People want to claim what they own, okay? And we need to understand that they claim their ownership over certain things. They may want to own a seat, they may want to own an office, they may own a space, they may own, so this is the ground, right, that people defend. And in order to avoid conflict, it's always important to grant them the space necessary for them to feel that they have some area they belong to. So could you imagine what it would be like at an English department or the academic unit not to have a teacher's lounge or any area or teachers' desks or offices? It'll be chaotic because you'll have teachers sitting on the hallways or maybe on, I don't know, maybe a corridor, maybe fighting for a corner. And that doesn't make any sense. So it's important to know that there are spaces for students, there's spaces for professors, there's spaces for staff, and all of this has to do with granting people the respect, their distance, or allowing them to have some territory that they belong to. There may be also primary territories like personal bedroom, secondary shared TV room, or public spaces. That's why probably the reason why you see the private restrooms for staff and faculty, and there are other spaces for students because there are different levels in the hierarchy. So it's very important for us to be aware of this concept of territoriality. So there is territory. What about public spaces like maybe a park bench? Do you think there should be more public spaces for maybe faculty or staff? What do you think? For instance, at our university, have you seen any space for staff, administrative staff? I mean by that, or space for faculty?
Well, I think there is some space for each field of studies faculties, not like large enough for everybody to be together at the same time, but Yeah, kind of small. And it's usually pretty empty because sometimes I walk by and you don't see the faculties around. It's empty.
Good. And we must be aware that this is one of the factors included in the accreditation criteria for the university. If the university is ever planning to become truly international by bringing students from different parts of the world, it's necessary for us to have spaces for everybody. So, having a university that is too crowded and doesn't have people spaces, or doesn't respect this territories, this is chaotic, and it's causing conflict all the time. So we need to stress this, emphasize on this, because it's an issue that could create more problems that we have right now. Also, it's important to stress here and highlight that proxemics, varies widely across cultures. All right. As a takeaway from today, it's important that we go with the idea that some people feel, while others don't feel that there is a need for that. Distance is an important element. And I must tell you that this is regional. It's not very specific for each country, but it's more regional than anything. Okay, some cultures are more to feel that there's this need of human contact, and others. Violation of these norms may cause discomfort, misunderstandings of all kinds of situations. Okay, context, contextual factors. Okay, considering proxemics, considering eye contact matters. It's also important to be aware that gender, power, and the environment and relationships affect the spatial behavior. Okay. So my question is, do you think communication among women is different from communication among men in our culture? I'm going to repeat my question again. Considering your experience in our culture, in our context, do you think a gender, male gender communication among men, among women, is there a difference that you could at least provide some characteristic that you'd say this is a difference?
I'm not sure I understand that question.
Once more, my question is this: Do you think there is a difference between male to male communication and female to female communication? Is there any difference, or do you think we're all the same and we communicate alike?
Uh, Professor,
Well,
I consider that in man-to-man communication is like there is a chance of more informality. Well, I don't know women's talks, but I consider that they are not that open to informal language than men. So, but I have heard some women that I said I like to converse more with men than with girls. But there are some others who consider just to keep their conversation for some specific topics only to women. So, I think so. There is that more open opportunity for men to use more informal language while having a conversation between men.
All right, very interesting point. Very interesting point. And there is yes, there is truth behind what you just said about your words. Um, eh, there is more formality, right, when we communicate with the opposite sex. Is we should try to keep a distance, right? Remember that we're all sexual beings, and people don't want to come across as being too, you know, touchy, disrespectful, or suggesting other topics. So yes, same-sex communication is free of that tension because that creates some level of tension in communication. Very good. Do you communicate the same with an elderly person than with someone of your age? What do you think? I have another question. Do you communicate the same with someone who's elderly compared to someone of your age?
No, it's different.
Why?
Totally.
Why is it different?
Because although we try to have that formality, that respect to both um, um, participants, the older and the younger, yes, still the level that you speak with an older person is not the same that when you speak with a younger. You probably you have that friendly conversation with a young person, that and then when you go with the older one, you have like mom, mister, whatever. So I think it's not the same.
Absolutely. There's a lot of distance, and that distance has to do maybe with deference, respect, um, probably some element of uh, attention to this person. Eh, Not only that the topics are different, but there is this age gap, generation gap, and topics, the ideas, the concepts are different. We don't have the same ideas about what is okay, what is not okay, what is respect or disrespect, and that creates a situation in which communication is not that much of direct, and we cannot establish solidarity. There is an element of power even involved because an elderly person has some power over the younger person. Even though we may not see it, the fact that they have lived much longer than you, or whoever is speaking, it gives them, makes them at a disadvantage. See, it's a mental disadvantage, not necessarily economic, not necessarily social, but it's mental because this person embodies much more experiences, more knowledge, and this creates a situation, and then um, the younger person may feel that they cannot really relate to what the person will explain or say, right? They speak of the world in different terms. So status is an issue in communication, and remember that we need to behave according to the ways of the situations, right? So formal and informal settings change the distances also. If we are in a faculty meeting, there is some special language that we use in that context. But if you are at a social gathering with friends and peers, there is a different code, language codes occur. And this is because you lower your censorship, you lower immediately what you change the variety of topics, and things go a different way. And a lot of that it's a part of this hidden rules of communication, right? Hidden rules of communication. So we're talking about proxemics. We're talking about this important topic. So does it matter? It varies very much. It matters very much because this is part of nonverbal communication. Nonverbal. a lot of is communicated without words. Remember that people say it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's how you say it. Now, this is where proxemics and gestures come in, right? It's vital in cross-cultural communication. Okay, and I just like to bring in some topics or areas, fields, professional fields in which this topic plays an important role. We have business, therapy, law enforcement, and the design of spaces in architecture and urban planning. In all of these fields, it plays an important role. So I'm going to go back a little bit very quickly recap not only on proxemics but also on kinetics. So we need to teach our students how they should, you know, move as human beings according to their gender and according to their age group. Okay, age group and gender, their position in a company, their role in a hierarchy. Probably they don't know what to do. Someone wants to say something. Just go ahead. I overheard some comment. Yes. Yeah. So going back to nonverbal communication, this is all part of a single package, as we could say. We have facial expressions, we have gestures, we have body language, paralinguistics, haptics, and eye contact. All of this is part of a single package. So far, we've gotten into kinesics, which is movement of the hands and some level of movement of our bodies, okay, and expressing emotions, and the proxemics, which is the distance that we need to keep, you know, in relation to the people we may communicate if we want to build some rapport and connection. Okay, so we've been reviewing here some key concepts: a whole theory and personal space. Remember that it's not only we don't say physical space, it's personal space, because it's both physical and mental space. Okay, I must highlight this. Okay? Physical and mental space. That I've shown you here some images of physical space doesn't mean that we don't have mental space. It's very hard to convey mental space, but this is a real construct. Okay, there's some other constructs that are not so evident, such as territoriality. So it's allowing people to have some space, like for them to defend their space, their personal ground. There may be cultural differences that affect proxemics, also kinesics as well, and there are contextual factors that affect communication. Okay, I'd like to ask you, is there any example that you could think of in which proxemics matter? Like, for example, in business?
The last part, for example, in
business?
Business, okay.
Mhm. Remember that our students are in the local market or international market, or they're going to be employers. They can play different roles. What do you think is important for them to know about proxemics for business, for example?
It will be good to deal with these themes in our English language courses, because maybe they could compare how do we handle the proxemics in our Latin American culture versus the second language we're teaching them in other English speaking countries, because kind of different. Remember the bow, the handshake. Well, it will be a nice topic that will catch their interest. Teaching English, but at the same time teaching intercultural relationship like proxemics.
So proxemics is linked to some extent to providing good service also. Okay, so if we want, if we aspire to provide very good customer service, for instance, in tourism or in any other field, same for the same purpose, it's important to allow people to have their space, and that's not rushing them or shoving or elbowing. Any of these behaviors is just inappropriate, and they need to be. If they, people decide if they want to change or not, but we have to help them know about culture and how this could affect their future. Not paying attention to these important topics, which are part of awareness. So we have a lot of bad rap concerning soft skills. Everywhere they talk about soft skills. What do you think that is? It's proxemics, kinesics. It's eye contact. This
You
and
know,
they say that.
there is something that I can notice when you're in any kind of business here, like not in a business, but when you're shopping or something, that in our country people can approach you very closely and they ask you what you want, what can I help you, how can I help you, is there anything you want, and so they keep asking you. But when you go to a store in other countries, they are just there. You have to approach them if you want to have an information or something. So I see the difference.
Yes, there's distance. You are the one who rules the process because you're the customer. You are important, and the reason why you have a lot of this pressure is because there is a manager, there is a camera behind the salesperson, and they are urged to approach a customer to produce a sale because that's how they measure success. Uh, Whereas in other places, in other contexts, there is much more empowerment concerning the customer decision-making process. That you have to give them distance and time because they're the one who pay. They're the ones who are paying. So you probably see here that some customers do not value being manipulated or pressured. That's part of the situation. Okay. In therapy, there are all of these processes that people have to go through. It's important not to rush them. Someone complains about pain or about not feeling okay and ending a session before or ending or requiring additional attention. Uh, this is part of how you should provide them some of this space, mental or physical. They may need some time off, they may need some recess, and all of this is a part of this. So it's like putting more the person, in the center of the process, even though it's not always like that. It's I think ideal allow people to be in the center of any process. Same as in law enforcement, is the client who decides what they want. They may even decide if they want a lawyer or not. You know that. Uh, and the person is going to face his or her legal process alone. They say that the lawyer is going to be there for you, but the lawyer is not going to face a consequence. So you may listen to your lawyer to some extent, and there's some other decisions that you need to make without the lawyer. Okay, space design is also an important thing for architecture and urban planning. These houses are too close. These departments that are too probably door to door. in many places, you can have people, doors, facing each other. There must be some space in between so that people don't see each other all the time. Space is an issue. So in some cases, because of they're saving time and space also and materials, they may alter this process. So this is important. So awareness of proxemics can reduce conflict, improve relationships, and enhance communication effectiveness. So I'd like to have your opinion about this image. What do you think about this image? What do you think this image communicates concerning proxemics and kinesics also? Let's look at their hands.
But it's also a diplomatic issue, no? That the proximity of the speakers is part of the of protocol.
Do you see that they're comfortable? What about physical distance? Do you see any barriers in between them?
Yes,
what about hand gestures?
Yeah, they are not sitting like in front, like with their bodies are not facing each other. They are just their heads.
That is right. And there is a meaning behind that, right? Why is that?
Well, knowing the characters, they're showing power.
Very good. Very good. So that's right. We have two superpowers colliding here, but we don't want them to be confrontational, so they don't sit in front of each other. They sit side to side as if they're collaborating.
Yeah.
They're sharing and cooperating more than facing each other. And facial expressions and the way they sit. Why don't you see that they
Maybe
have?
maybe this is a press conference or a kind of meeting they are sharing with others. So it really depends on the context in which they are talking. But for me, it's like a public event.
Yeah, obviously this is some kind of summit, as you can see the Russian Federation flag and the American flag behind. So it's an event in which these two gentlemen, as representatives of two major superpowers, are taking the stage. I don't really think anybody else could fit because they need space because because of what they stand for. Military power, and above all, nuclear power in the world. And you see that they are spread on their chairs. Their legs are spread. They're occupying their space. You see the element of territoriality in their physical expression. They're taking their space, and not because they're big, because Mr. Putin is shorter than Donald Trump, right? You see that, but he's also occupying his space. He's not sitting there in on the side of the chair. He's occupying his full space, and his hands are on the side. On the other hand, you see Donald Trump's hands are pointing downwards. What do you think that is? What did we say about fingers pointing down?
We say that it is not a very positive sign.
That is right, exactly. And that may mean power that he's trying to communicate over Mr. Putin as a representative of the Russian Federation. And he's leaning on Mr. Putin's side as if he wants to tell him something, and Putin is paying attention to what Donald Trump is telling him. So Who do you think seems more commanding over there?
I think Mr. Trump, because
He's
Mr.
yes,
I like
yeah.
kind of
He's trying to project. He's trying to project all the time. He's trying to project authority, power, influence. You see a lot of that. Um, on the other hand, you see that Mr. Putin is like reacting to what he is listening and reacting to the situation. What about the physical distance? Do you think that there is a lot of physical distance or very little? What do you think? Because there is this, I would call it what, like a tea table in between. It has some kind of decoration on it. Is there a lot of physical distance? I mean, personal space among them, between them. I mean, they could be other people. I don't know, but between them.
I think there is. I mean, there might be about 2 or 3 feet, maybe 3 feet of distance.
So there is this respect for personal space, but it's not public. It's not public because they're not that far away, and they're sitting there for a purpose. They're like reluctantly trying to establish some dialogue and trying to agree. But from Latino standard, they are far away. But from others, from other perspectives, they're very close over there. I was watching a video very recently, and Putin always uses big tables wherever he's sitting, and he sits on one end of a table of a large table when he meets people in Moscow, for instance, and he has his guests on the other at the other end of the large table. On the other hand, whenever Donald Trump holds this press conferences, he does it this way, and he sits next to people, and he has them sit next to him for him to project his authority and tell them things or send very direct messages. And we don't see this communication style, for instance, from the Russian president. Mr. Trump is very direct and pretty confrontational, and for the standards, he's like that. Uh, do you think communication among these two gentlemen will work? What is your prediction by looking at this?
Actually, it depends on the willingness. I mean, they have to make agreements work. Sometimes they make agreements and they violate their agreements just after they make them. So, what can I say?
Yeah, there's a lot also communicated through their ties. Look at the tie colors. What does that tell you? And also their suits. They're both wearing dark suits because that projects authority. And on the side of Mr. Putin, he's wearing a black tie, and a black tie projects also authority. And he is intent in projecting his authority in whatever matter he feels is under his control. On the other hand, you see that Donald Trump wears a red tie. That's more extroverted, a lot more of a color for a person who's outgoing in his behavior. So, in fact, people communicate a lot through nonverbal communication. There's a lot of nonverbal communication here. Okay, a lot of nonverbal communication here. Okay. Do you think it would be? Do you think proxemics play an important role here? Have you ever seen Donald Trump touch or pat Putin on the shoulder or on the back? because he did that to some other presidents and even the king of Saudi Arabia.
I think that in the American culture, keeping distance is very important because if they show the kind of proximity the close proximity might be misinterpreted. If one receives a pat on the back, it might be like patronizing or something like that that might not be perceived by others as correct.
That is right, and we have a serious issue with this because I recall when Marco Rubio visited our country, and I saw those images on TV at the meeting. And what happened is that some people were sitting on one side of the table, and others were sitting on the other end of the table. We're like facing each other. Sure. Yes.
I would like to share with you my personal point of view in relation to the effect of proxemics on the cultural and personal interaction between people. I definitely I in accord. I agree with you because proxemics examines the cultural, not only the cultural and situational and relational factors. It, I think, also influence the distance among people and maintain between the relationship or the communication open between themselves and others. Thank you.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, and well, what I'm trying to stress here is that people use proxemics and kinesics as a way to communicate. Probably they're not saying much, but body language tells people certain things. It's not, remember, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And when you have Donald Trump looking at you that way and making that facial expression with his fingers pointing down, he's trying to talk about some topic that he wants to talk about, but probably Trump is dismissive. He's dismissing that topic because he doesn't is paying as much attention. He's just lending an ear to what he's saying, but he's not really. He doesn't reflect much interest. It means a little bit on the side, but that's not the language of a person who is heeding a warning or paying attention to some topic, right? So if there is anything else that you'd like to add to this analysis on proxemics or probably kinesics, that's very much welcome.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you think that we teach all these topics while we are teaching our classes, like without saying it, like what the way we behave with our students, it's also a way of teaching these topics?
Very interesting point. What we normally do is what we call classroom interaction. Classroom interaction. And that is one branch of communication, but that's not necessarily the language of socializing beyond the classroom, which there's some very set roles and established authorities and you know the authority who's a faculty member or teacher or instructor or assistant, and the students who are the ones who pay attention to what the authority has to you know direct in terms of work in the classroom. That's classroom language. But that, I don't think we really deal with any of this. And when students need this, it's probably too late because they're probably out now in the market dealing with foreign people or facing a job situation, and they may need this for their future. Absolutely. We need to worry more about communicating some of this information to them, that there are elements of language that are nonverbal that they need to be aware of, and try to communicate, just be more careful about what they communicate with finger pointing, pointing downwards, or not looking at people in the eye, being, touching people, those things, right? Which are not right, or invading people's personal space, not being aware of age and gender differences in communication. All of this is a serious issue. Yes, Aldiano, you want to say something? Go ahead. Okay, so
Sorry, did you call my name?
Sure. No, I
Oh.
was I saw Aldiano, the name over there. Someone wanted to say something, maybe.
Okay, but I can share something that I think that Professor Lucy question was very, very, I mean, when we're teaching, sometimes, as the saying says, that you lead by example, and maybe the way we behave and the way how we act between colleagues and those things, it's also part of the teaching. That's something that I was thinking about, just to share.
Very good. So, but remember, what we do naturally is part of our culture, and we're also trying to learn the other way. So, what we should do is, gain awareness of how we do things in the Latino culture and learn about how they do it in the Bana countries, or cultures or contexts, right? We need to learn more about their proxemics and their kinesics, what is right and what is not, what projects a positive image, what is negative, what is not, what is felt as trustworthy or untruthful, and not telling lies, being very honest, projecting honesty. All of these helps us um, overcome prejudice and stereotypes, and get rid of racial bias that affects communication, that gets in the way of communication. We already have the challenge of dealing with the linguistic barrier. We need to get rid of the cultural barriers also. Okay, now this is the end of the road for day one. Okay, this is the end of the road for day one. However, I'm going to give you a preview of what we'll be seeing tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about haptics. Okay, haptics. I think this is one of the terms I left you in the classroom space that Professor Marisol Ortega requested you guys to join. Okay, you have to join that. So please find the time in order to join the classroom space so that you can answer the preliminary questions, which are only 7. I don't have that many, and also the questions which are part of the key takeaways for day one that we have discussed so far. I think I have hit the hammer on the head. I mean, hit the nail on the head several times here concerning kinesics and paralinguistics and gestures, communicating emotions, and the proxemics, eye contact, and last but not least, territoriality and differences, concerning age and concerning gender. So haptics, okay? Look at this image. Look at this image. What can you tell me about this? I'm going to be pretty visual here at first. I was talking to you about harassment or harassing behavior. What do you think about it?
I think she's telling him to keep his distance.
That is right. That is right. And this is one of the constraints or limitations of gender difference type of communication. You see, we need to be aware. It's an awareness that we need to develop about what is right or what is not right. But on the other hand, you could also interpret this as she's touching him.
Well, yeah, that could be true.
Yeah. So there are several possible explanations to this situation.
Well,
But
here, I would
mm,
like to see her eyes, expressions. I mean, to see if she's telling him to keep away or if she's
yeah,
just touching him.
obviously, things up is that this is a situation happening at the workplace. Because what she's carrying, she's carrying some kind of a note, some notes from work. Obviously, some statistical information, maybe some lists, whatever. And but you see him, he has the other hand inside his pocket. What does that communicate to you?
He seems to feel comfortable with what he's doing.
Yeah, that's one possible interpretation, but he's not touching her with his two hands. He has one hand in a pocket, but he's putting a hand on her shoulder, and we don't really know. But what we know is that this could be, if this is tape or videotaped, this could be considered evidence of harassing behavior, maybe inappropriate behavior at the workplace. For educational purposes, that could be unethical behavior between two consenting adults, because both of them are adults. So the situation is somewhat awkward. Okay, it's awkward. And if someone walks in that elevator, because they seem to be inside an elevator, uh, what the situation they're gonna it's gonna be kind of uncomfortable. Don't you agree with me?
Yes, that will be uncomfortable.
The
Because
person would feel that they're interrupting, they're getting in the middle of something.
yes, that will be the interpretation of the person that comes into the elevator.
Very good. So my question for you as an audience, as an adult audience, is this: do you think our students are aware of these things?
Well, in our Panamanian culture, I don't think so.
Very good.
Yes,
So yeah, I
I
think
agree. I agree. They do not, they are not because of our culture. I agree with that.
so. Yeah, what this creates is discomfort and misunderstandings. Okay, then people feel touching is normal. It's part of their everyday connection with others. But in other cultures, this is not so. Okay, it's it's something that we need to discuss. So tomorrow we'll be discussing uh, how people communicate. Friendship. How is okay among different genders to communicate friendship. Uh, Not to be misinterpreted as some personal interest for the opposite sex, uh, that there must be an element of distance and respect on both sides of the of the communication or uh, communication, and that some cultures are more closed to this connection, right? For maybe I don't know, educational reasons or so forth. It's important to be aware of this. There's so many different signs that are used that could replace touching. You don't need to touch people, but you could, get in touch with do with our hands. And this is part of creating a connection with human beings and communicating messages that are not necessarily physical. Other than that, we're going to be also talking about, okay. Yeah, we're going to start getting into a little more technical matters such as paralinguistic resources. Okay, there is a lot of this we don't deal with very much. For example, teach oral expression 180. On my own, I sometimes bring in some of these elements that have to do with the prosody of communication. And we just worry in phonetics about word level stress and some features of word level communication, such as having all these clusters and essentials of communication and proper pronunciation. But there's at the prosody level, which is phrase level communication, a lot that we need to tap and discuss, because this is how we communicate emotion. And we have issues sometimes with our students not being effective when they communicate. So this is what we're going to be discussing tomorrow. So once more, I'd like to invite you to join Google Classroom and take care of all the questions that I left you over there. Okay, I left you over there. Okay, last but not least, okay, let me just go back a little bit. I should tell you a little more on probably there's a misspelling here of the gestures. There's some gestures that are okay, others are not. I think we have to do a little bit more research on what is acceptable and what is not. Palms up, hands up. I mean, fingers up also, not palms down, not finger down. That's like a general rule of thumb. Um, Looking at people in the eye, keeping a distance, avoiding a physical touch unless it's required or welcomed. Uh, Solidarity and some emotions can be communicated through facial expressions and body language. There's also the paralinguistics elements of communication. Let me go back a little bit. Two major topics from today's seminar, which are kinesics and proxemics. We're going to start dealing with haptics, and I think there's some spelling mistake. I'm going to take care of that. It's haptics with an S at the end, haptics. And then after that, we're going to start getting into paralinguistic elements of communication, elements of communication. Okay, let's see. I think I have communicated most of the content for today. Now, I'd like to know if you have any experience with this that you would like to share, with communication using.
No, I think that I have an everyday issue when I'm in class with students who approach the teacher very close because they want to talk like in a secret, but they get too close. So I have this issue with students that I try to find a way to tell them that just stay there, like
Right.
don't get too close to me. It's uncomfortable. Even if I'm a Latina, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it's unhealthy for me. Like I don't since COVID-19, I don't want anybody to approach me too close.
Very good.
And they keep getting close because they want to talk in Spanish and in secret. because they have their
Very good.
issues, you know. But I don't know. It's just something that I have at everyday class.
Yeah, we face very specific challenges because we use English as a medium of instruction. Yeah, we do EMI, English as a medium of instruction, in an English as a foreign language setting. Okay, so they're learning English as they're learning about English. So they have a dual challenge. They have a confusion about our roles in the classroom. They think we're their confidants. They want to turn us into their confidants. And it's important to establish that there must be a distance for them to handle themselves properly, so that they know they start getting this professional image and build this image, because we don't want them to remain become a professional with a student's mind. This is not very good for their future, because they have to face a lot of gatekeeping. I don't know if you are familiar with the term. Gatekeeping is uh, not letting people with the profile join on a position or assume a role, because they lack the skills. They don't have the soft skills. So there's a lot of gatekeeping, and where that gatekeeping takes place is at the job interview. If they throw at them someone who's skilled in cultural language, they're gonna fail the cultural part. They do okay in the linguistic element. They may be functional speakers, but they are not culturally aware. That hinders their possibilities of landing a position that could be better paid. Okay, so it's an issue. It's an issue for them. Some people may think, but why should we worry about that? But look, that's our market. It's our market. Okay, these are the people we are for the real world. So we must talk about real world issues. That's why this is also relevant. Do you agree with me, or do you disagree? Let me know, please.
Actually, I think that students have to learn to handle themselves when they are participating with other cultures, because they are not thought of. I mean, some of them do the same thing at home, and they bring their home into the classroom, and they have to learn to see the difference. And partly is that they come from a system in high school where the professors are the ones that give advice, the ones that talk to their parents and everything. So, and they have to learn to break that link, and they have to learn to make themselves responsible of what they do. That's what I think.
Respect for authority. Do you think they're clear on how to show that they respect someone?
Could you repeat the question, please?
What about respect? Respect for authority. Do you think they are clear on how they should provide or show that respect for authority?
But that really depends on what they learn at home. If they were sure, they were taught how to respect authority at home, they are going to respect authority wherever they go. But if they don't know it, they have to learn, and we have to
Very
show.
good.
Yeah.
Very good. Look, in American culture, for example, which is a case I can relate to. I know many professors in the States, they don't like you when you call them by their name. You can call them Fred, you can tell them Tom, till with them, and you know them elsewhere. You know them outside. the campus, and then they give you authorization to call them by name. Many of them they want to be called Mr. Thomas or Mr. Whatever, and lots of students they feel that a distance is set between them and their professors because of this. Okay, many of them they don't like it. They just don't like it. Okay? They feel that they're entitled. I imagine it's because they pay so much money that they feel that they're entitled to call everybody by their name. Since they're getting lots of debt, all of this is involved in universities over there. It's not like in Panama. So we have in Panama OCR. So it's like I don't know. I think the name is Organización de Relaciones con los Graduados, ORG, ORG. That's what we have in Panama. Over there, you have an alumni office in those American universities, and that's pretty much like an employment agency. They help help and train their graduates to find jobs. That's part of the deal over there. The deal is you study, you pay a lot of money, of course, but then at the end they help you find a job, and they help you through university graduates from that very same university, because they keep in touch with them, whatever it is that they are employed, and they are to help competitive applicants to obtain jobs. We don't have anything like that in our universities. I don't think UTP or any of those, not even the private universities, they have anything like that to help people obtain a job. But over there is part of the deal. Okay, it's not only the debt that it's also that they are generally likely to find some employment, at the end of the 4 years or at the end of the permit through the alumni office. So, but regardless of the benefits that people are granted, it's important to show respect and consider that they need to respect whoever they're dealing with, right? Very good. Very good. So, well, I don't have anything else to tell. I don't know if there's some final announcements. It's the time. It's 11:45. I don't know if there's some announcements.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes. Oh, are you
Yeah,
there,
we-
Veronica?
Yes,
Go
yes,
ahead.
I am. Yes, I am.
Yeah.
We want to just thank Professor Cardenas for this wonderful session where we learned so much about culture and about how we should manage our gestures and our kinesthetic and our make. So just to remember, we continue tomorrow, August 5th at 8 o'clock. Please remember to register your attendance before leaving the room today. You need to register every single day. So make sure that you did so. And we see each other tomorrow with the same energy of today to learn something new about beyond our culture.
Also remember
Mm.
to join the classroom. You have there in
Yes.
the chat room the classroom link and the classroom code. So please join, copy them, because after we leave, that's not going to be there. So please copy them and join the classroom. Professor Cardenas has already given you an assignment. The link, the classroom link is for the whole week. And
the link for Zoom is the same also.
yes, and you will have to sign attendance every single day. Yes, well, that's it. I think that's it. Well, thank you very much for participating today. Tomorrow, as Professor Veronica said, it's going to be at 8 o'clock. God bless you all and have a nice and productive day.
You too.
Thank you.